Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into the Outer Limits Episode 5, Season 1. The Sixth Finger came out October 13th, 1963, and looking forward to jumping into this one. But before we get started, let's jump into your comments and see what you had to say about last week's episode, The Man with the Power. Dennis Swanston 411 says, catching an asteroid is the main plot line of Season 4 of the Apple Alternate History series For All Mankind. That's a really good show for anybody who hasn't seen For All Mankind. It's based on what would happen if the United States didn't land on the moon first, and if it was like the Soviet Union. That's exactly what happened, and it basically created this alternate timeline where America and the Soviets were kind of going back and forth on who can beat each other to the next thing. So it made it to where America was like, okay, since you were first on the moon, we're going to be the first one to put a base on the moon. And then Russia's like, no, we'll do that. And then all of a sudden became the race to going to Mars, and then that became a thing. I'm not going to get in the entire history of the show, but it's really good for anybody who hasn't actually sat down and watched For All Mankind. And it's on Apple TV, so go check it out. There's a lot of good stuff on Apple TV. Dave says, good episode. Waiting on the next one, probably my favorite. Interesting you said in the end commentary about where the evolution of human mind will go. See next episode. Well, here we are, getting ready to watch the next episode, so looking forward to seeing what you're talking about. Jonathan Stein says, Donald Pleasence is one of the all-time greats, really brings a gravitas to every role he plays. Yeah, he does. I mean, I love Donald Pleasence and everything he's actually been in, or everything I've actually seen him in. I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but I should sit down and actually sit and watch a lot of his films. But I loved him when he was Blofeld. I mentioned that in the last episode. I enjoyed it also when he was in the Halloween series. He's just a really good actor in general. He was also, I'm trying to remember all the other things he's been in, but I'm kind of drawing a blank on it. I'll have to sit down and actually see what he's actually been in over the years, but definitely has that gravitas that not a lot of people have. Robert Jewell 9727 says, having seen all these episodes a few years ago, this is a wonderful way to re-experience them with some chat and insights into the Outer Limits creativity. I think I rated this on a B+. Donald Pleasence is perfect in it, and what makes the kind of story different from Twilight Zone is that it really goes into the scientific possibilities with believable dialogue that sounds scientific rather than a mysterious camera that can predict the future, etc., where nobody cares how it works, they just want to use it to their advantage. Both venues of sci-fi are pretty palpable when thought out and done well. I do enjoy the Outer Limits so far. I mean, this is season 1. I think there's only 2 seasons of it. I know they do like 7 seasons of the newer Outer Limits that comes out in the 90s. I'm not sure if there's any more after or before that, but those are the 2 main ones that I know of just off the top of my head. And yeah, this episode, I would say B+. It definitely kept my interest, mostly because of Donald Pleasence's acting ability. He just has that, as the last comment said, that gravitas that really grabs you. So it's awesome to see that the Outer Limits, I think each show's gotten a little better in my opinion, and I still think Twilight Zone is better in terms of storytelling just because it's more contained in a 25-minute episode, and it just doesn't have a lot of fat on those episodes. I think Outer Limits, they still kind of use a lot of build-up in some of their scenes, and that's okay. I enjoy it. I still enjoy these episodes. It's a different way of storytelling and compared to the Twilight Zone. But thanks for the comment. Ben Rositas 8068 says, Donald Pleasence in 1915, bald. Donald Pleasence in 1963, bald. Donald Pleasence in 1983, bald. Donald Pleasence in 1995 when he died, bald. Did that guy ever have hair? By the way, Livingston, the posted title of this episode says, The Architects of Evil, which was last week. Oops. Yeah, that I didn't realize that. I guess I'll have to change that up. Anyways, thanks for letting me know that, and I will do that. But, yeah, sometimes bald people just tend to not have hair for the majority of their lives. I mean, I think my dad said he was going bald when he started getting into like 16, 17 years old. So for me, I mean, I started thinning out. I still have some hair, but it's definitely thin on top. It's just how it is for some guys. I mean, like some guys, you end up going gray way before they're supposed to get gray, like say Steve Martin. how that guy's looked 80 since he was, around. So it's just crazy. Rick Kiddit 143 says, this episode is often cited as a cut-down version of Forbidden Planet. Without giving away spoilers, you'll see what that means when you watch the classic, which hopefully you will soon. I actually probably will sit down and watch it soon. It'll probably be my next movie. I keep wanting to say I'm going to sit down and watch it just because I come across that title all the time when I'm watching The Twilight Zone, but I will definitely be watching Forbidden Planet, so look out for it. Renee Ziscribe said 1229, hey Livingston, great review with quips to boot, nice. Donald Pleasence was a great character actor who liked to take on bad guy roles, even though, as you pointed out, in this case, he is a victim rather than a villain. Along with his posture, mannerisms, and physique, he had another very distinctive feature. He almost never blinked, making him a foe with a deadly stare. To me, his most memorable roles are here in The Twilight Zone, Blofeld, You Only Live Twice, and Dr. Michaels from Fantastic Voyage, which I haven't ever sit down and watched Fantastic Voyage, which I might have to watch that pretty soon too. Sad endings in The Outer Limits often happen here because most of the stories are cautionary tales, showing rather than telling us that the consequences of thoughtlessness or carelessness as humanity is reaching for the stars, this being much more in people's minds after May 25th, 1961, JFK's famous speech about landing a man on the moon. Thanks for telling me that was a great review, and yeah, Donald Pleasence, really great actor. I really enjoyed him in this episode. That's what makes a lot of these episodes pop, is when they have a great actor that can hold it before themselves. He was the main guy throughout the entire episode, and the camera was consistently on him, and for good reason. When it comes to him not blinking, yeah, I mean, it just makes him more of a sinister, more menacing person. Sometimes people just didn't blink either, but I know Anthony Hopkins took that on when he did Hannibal Lecter for The Silence of the Lambs, and for sure, it made him just so much more creepier. And when he did blink, it looked like it was a planned blink, like it was slow. But, yeah, it's a great technique to use when you're trying to basically outclass or just seem like you're a very intense person or even evil. I mean, snakes don't blink, and that's why Anthony Hopkins took on that no blinking thing, because he felt like Hannibal Lecter was a snake. But this character, not so much. He seemed like a nice guy that everybody just kind of walked on, and it was kind of sad for him, but it is what it is. And sad endings. Yeah, I heard that in one comment where someone was talking about how it's always a sad ending because of cautionary tales in The Outer Limits. So it sucks, because I'm not really a big fan of sad endings, depending on the ending. I guess it just depends on the ending. This last one wasn't so bad when Donald Pleasence took himself out. You could understand where he was coming from. The one before that, the one where the guy turned himself into an alien so he can fool the world into thinking that there was going to be some invasion, I thought that was a pretty sad ending. So we'll see what this episode's going to go and how that's going to evolve. Hopefully it's not too bad, too sad of an ending. Gene Everett 7855 says, well, that's a lot of one-time episode Twilight Zone actors in this one. I counted 5. Yeah, I haven't seen all of the Twilight Zone yet, so I can't really say who all was in the Twilight Zone. If there were people in the Twilight Zone, I totally missed it. I just wasn't paying attention. I was focusing on, I guess, the story itself, but sometimes it's hard to see what other people have been in when I'm just focused on the story. But let's dive into the show and see what we're getting into. Oh, cool. A guy with a big head. Alien? Motorcycles have not changed all that much in the last 60 years.
Your ignorance makes me ill and angry.
The Outer Limits. Life, the timeless, mysterious gift. What wonders or terrors does evolution hold in store for us in the next 10,000 years?
That is a wonderful question to ask.
Mrs. I.
Yes. A scientist? Hello.
What are you doing here?
I'm Kathy.
Oh, it's impossible to find good help here. I can't even find an assistant. I didn't take any time out for breakfast, and I've been working all night.
What kind of work is it you do here?
I'm a professor of genetics.
Oh, genetics.
Genetics.
Ah, Darwin. Oh, you're hungry too, eh? Well, you
That is not a monkey. That is a guy in a suit. Not a bad suit, though.
file these under MG.
That's Jill Sallworth. I guess she was mostly known for Exodus, which was a 1916 movie, and In Harm's Way, 1965, starring John Wayne and Kirk Douglas. And the guy is Edward Mulhare, but he was in Knight Rider, played Devon Miles. He was in 86 episodes.
I'd like to be smart. There's someone I'd like to be smart for.
Is he going to play scientist on her?
Could you make me halfway smart?
I'll make you full way smart.
It's all right. It won't hurt. Ah, extend your arm.
I don't like this. Just let me turn into some weird big-headed person. That's a needle. Look away. They didn't even show it.
I'm going to teach you to count if I have to beat it into you.
Man, that's just mean.
My customers cheat her out of the right change, and she isn't bright enough to know.
Beating up never made anybody bright, girl.
Is he dirty?
He annoys me terrible. Ain't this town dirty enough?
Thanks, Willem.
If the professor wants another loaf, take it to him.
I'm going that way. I'll walk with you. The foreman told the manager that I've been making trouble among the miners and acting myself superior.
A lady who was behind the counter, that was Constance Cavendish. She's actually best known for this episode. She was only in so many things like The Hound of Baskerville, The List of Adrian Messenger, The Buster Keaton Story. So not in a lot of big things, and makes you wonder their story. They don't have much on her.
How can a man go forward here? It's the most backward place in the world. And away from that black mine that's to blame for it all.
Well, it's a mine. That's why he's dirty.
It would give me great pleasure to see this whole town utterly destroyed.
Damn.
Well, I'm too smart to go on eating coal dust for the rest of my life.
I wish I was smart.
Yeah, you get the black lung eventually.
All I need's one lucky break, see? A job where I could use my head and I'd show them.
Why don't you ask him for a job?
Don't be ridiculous.
So where does the big-headed guy, when does he come into the fold here? What's his whole deal?
Excuse me, Professor Mathers. Young Kathy's come to see you.
Oh, Kathy, show her in, Mrs. Ives.
Mrs. Isles is played by Nora Marlowe. She was on the Thomas Crown Affair and Westworld, the original one, 1973.
Here's my friend, Willem Griffith.
Hello.
You're in need of an assistant. I come to apply for the job.
You do?
Can do anything another man can do. And better, maybe.
We'll see about that.
Are you familiar with solid-state circuitry? Any experience in ordinary lab techniques? Protein analysis and synthesis?
I can learn.
Computer technology? Filing procedures?
Can make coffee.
Couldn't you teach Gwillem, who's smarter than anyone else in town?
I'm afraid it isn't that simple.
Sure it is.
That's what I'm working on, trying to speed up the slow process of evolution. I've already succeeded with that ape.
Playing God, we're not meant to push those kind of boundaries. You know, I think we're meant to evolve at a slow pace so we can learn as we grow. I just don't think we can just be given all the power in the world.
Will you do it with me?
You?
Okay, I bet he's the guy with the big head, isn't he?
Yes.
You realize an experiment always has its dangers.
No, I'm game for anything.
Mrs. Ives!
All right.
Take him out and clean him up, Mrs. Ives.
Someone gets to give me a bath? Nice. David McCallum is this actor's name. He's actually known for The Great Escape, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and he played Alfred in the DC animated movie universe that was kind of going between like 2010 up until I think like 2020 or so.
Would you take your jacket off and sit down over there?
Okay.
I need to take a sample of your blood.
But took a sample of the lady's blood too. Whatever happened with that?
Make a fist.
Have I passed the test?
You'll do.
Well, let's get on with it then. What do we do then?
More shots.
Thereby accelerating the inborn mechanism of evolution to a fantastically high speed.
The sound waves.
They're controlled by this panel. This lever encompasses the entire evolutionary history of the human race.
Sort of reminds me of From Beyond, where they use sound waves to generate the way to see into another dimension, and it kind of manipulated a person's body too, supposedly opening up their mind. Interesting movie, starring Jeffrey Combs. I feel like when the door opens, probably look different, not in a good way. Oh, we have a window we can watch. Something's happening. Show us your face. I knew it. A bigger head and less hair. How do you feel?
May be a blessing and not a curse on mankind.
It's too bad it made your head that big. I mean, is that what's going to happen when we evolve? Our head's just going to...
Leave it, Mrs. Ives. We can't be disturbed now.
As you like, sir.
I don't want to show what I just made. A big-headed man who's very smart. It's a cool lion.
Don't let it get cold now, sir.
All right. Good night, Mrs. Ives.
Can you fix this, Doctor?
Her eyes have developed a wider field of vision and a power of charged concentration, which suggests an additional dexterity will develop in the man of the dim future.
A sixth finger.
Misgivings, Professor. Afraid you maybe gave power to the wrong man.
I hope not.
Professor Mathers, that I can read your mind.
Had no clue until just now. No one ate. Great.
Professor,
Don't go in there.
are you all right? You've not touched your dinner tray at study here all night.
Take it away, Mrs. Ives.
Very good, sir.
Take it away. Damn. Answer those questions quick. Are they questions?
Our intelligence tests aren't sufficiently developed to measure your mind in its advanced state.
What good is intelligence without knowledge? I'm hungry to know things, to learn everything.
Give them an encyclopedia.
Books about everything. I want to read them all. Do you understand?
I need things to think about.
How is Willem keeping himself?
Something peculiar is going on and it can't be good. One of these days I'll get to the bottom of it.
Nope.
Maybe he'd see me, please.
If you don't believe me, come.
All right. Can't wait to see his big head. And her reaction to it, like, what happened?
You have a visitor.
Who would be?
It's Miss Kathy come to see you.
Not wanting the likes of me breaking in on his studies.
Yeah, it's just mean. Book done. Need more. Oh, music. La 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 la.
Where have you been?
Delivering the bread, Gert.
What do you do with such a plain-faced liar, eh?
Plain-faced.
Plain face? She is definitely not a plain face.
Not seeing handsome hide and a golden hair, you precious Willem.
Oh, leave her be, Wilt. He isn't a precious anything.
He's very busy doing very important work and trying to make himself better than any of us will ever be.
You should see how he's changed.
You can laugh at me, but you can't laugh at him. He's not to be laughed at.
Yeah, that's what you get. Oh, he knows all music now. He's a beautiful player. He's better than Beethoven. What is that racket? This one has a radio on. Definitely showing his line. It's pretty good. Soothing.
I'm very grateful to you. You've given me the ability to observe your culture through the eyes of a man 20,000 years in the future. Bach will quite probably outlive us all.
Have you always been able to play this well?
I have never before touched the keys of a piano.
Nope.
To a certain degree of manual dexterity.
Yeah, with a sixth finger.
Great drainers of creative energy, and when we are drained of creative energy, we do not create. We procreate what we do not create.
But my head. Can't change it back, you sure?
I must get some sleep.
Yes, you must.
Playing won't disturb me.
Okay. I'll play something soft so you fall away like a lullaby. Oh, darn.
I finished these books.
Why aren't you asleep?
I no longer have any need for sleep.
Dear Lord. Did you get back in the machine again or something? What happened?
Your hand, the sixth finger. When did it develop?
Yep.
Sometime during the night. I was too absorbed in reading to notice it. You released the mechanism of evolution, which is a self-generating force.
Oh, no.
A man will be approximately 1 million years from today.
Well, that's awesome. Something to look forward to.
You think that I've become a monster. To me, you look as monstrous as the missing link.
Oh, harsh words.
You must return to the chamber immediately. I'll set the dial backward somewhere nearer to man.
Nope. Evidently, he can now do that. Oh no. That's hubris for you. More books.
More books for you.
Uh-oh.
Wait, please.
Don't be frightened. It's just a big head. Couldn't handle it.
She's dead.
What?
An accident?
Your race is too prejudiced to tolerate any differences from its own kind.
So you killed her?
They've come with their primitive weapons to obliterate me. I wanted to stop her and stopped her heart.
Well, that sucks.
Or would it bring her back?
Yeah, that'd be great.
After all, a human being, same as ourselves.
The same as you, Professor.
You're like an ant to him now.
She wouldn't have become civilized for another 1,000,000 years.
More brains, the more heartless you become. Well, he did say, would you like me to start her heart again? And the professor didn't opt for that, so he's just as much at fault, I think.
If that woman's heart stopped, it's because somebody put the fear or the devil in her. Telling all of this to you, and it's Constable Wicks I should be talking to.
Yep. Why don't you wait till the service is over?
Come in, Kathy.
Uh-oh. Is he hidden? He's in shadow.
Come to warn you.
I know. The constable's already sent 2 men down here. Ignorance breeds fear. Why aren't you afraid of me?
You've always been kind to me.
Till you see my head.
Are you still not afraid of me?
Whoa, he's really changed.
What happened?
I saw him. What happened to him? What terrible thing have you done? You rotten old man.
Get a hold of yourself.
Bring him back to me the way he was.
Where are you going?
The whole town must be utterly destroyed.
Oh, man. He's gone crazy.
The gift of thought, the highly developed brain. But the human race has ceased to develop. It struggles for petty comfort and false security.
No, the makeup's not too bad.
Reasoning, and man will lose sight of the truth. An example must be made.
He's gonna try to end it, but he can't. Uh-oh. Got way too much power now. Jeez. Is he dead?
Are you hurt?
Nope. Alive.
All that is left of my Willem is his hatred of the town.
I mean, there's not that many people in town. What's his... He just doesn't like mining that much? I don't know. And we're back to where we started at the beginning of this episode. Hey, it's Marian. Of course, I think I've said it before on this channel, how many times that people just pull their guns out when they see something they don't understand.
Your savageness
But
must end.
yeah, now you're saying that you're being savage, right?
What happened?
He was just like a blinding light, but he didn't hurt me. Just as if he suddenly changed his mind.
I came back because I knew you were here.
What have you done?
And suddenly,
Changed his mind.
I evolved beyond hatred or revenge. I could feel myself reaching that stage in the dim future of mankind when the mind will cast off the hamperings of the flesh.
So he's become so smart that revenge and waste of time emotion really isn't a thing anymore.
When he first learned the idea of the angels. But that is far ahead, and I'm impatient to go the whole way. But that is why I need your help. Will you help me to go forward?
Get in the machine again,
You must turn this dial to its furthest limit.
or turn it back. Turn him back to who he was.
You understand?
You mustn't go any further. Come back to me the way you were.
It was you who helped me to come this far to make it possible to achieve the ultimate.
Please.
We haven't much time.
Or will she go so far back that he comes out an ape? That would be a nice little twist. This also kind of reminds me of Lucy, movie where Scarlett Johansson is subjected to something that ends up making her brain power suddenly get pushed to the limits. Like, we're only using 10% supposedly, even though we use all of our brain, but I guess our knowledge or brain power, we're only using like 10%, and hers is pushed to like over 100 by the time you get to the end of the movie. And she's like at that point where there's no emotion, it's all just logic. She's like basically a Vulcan.
Goodbye, Kathy.
See ya. Go back. She's gotta go back. Back it is. Is he noticing? Oh, it's working. Yay, back to hair. You better stop it in time. Stop it. What are you doing? You went too far back. Why didn't you stop it? Uh-oh. I think the machine's gonna, like, go crazy and... Come on. Is it gonna work or what? I don't even know. Oh, it worked. Maybe. Are you okay? Is he still know what the hell's going on or who he is or...
An experiment too soon, too swift, and yet, may we not still hope to discover a method by which within one generation the whole human race could be rendered intelligent? Is that not, after all, the ultimate goal of evolution?
Well, that is The Outer Limits, episode 5. I enjoyed that episode. Probably my favorite episode so far of the first season of The Outer Limits as a whole so far. And really curious what we're going to get more so going forward with this program, because every single one of these episodes seem to be a cautionary tale, as a lot of you have been telling me. And I definitely like this one, mostly due to the fact that I've seen this story before in many iterations, like Lucy being another one, Lawnmower Man, Flowers for Algernon. I mean, they've used this story periodically. This is probably the earliest version of the story that I've seen. I don't think I know of one that's come before it, other than maybe the novel version of certain things that I've watched before. But it's definitely an interesting take of this one, showing the evolution of the human race and where we'll be in about 1 million years. Basically big-headed, big-eared, very smart, no emotion whatsoever, and just at that point where you're not looking for power, but we're looking for knowledge over all else. And I think that's where we need to be going right now in society, thinking about knowledge and learning about the vastness of our universe instead of worrying about the crap that we're dealing with today when it comes to just politics and the world in a whole. It's just like we're in just a weird time where everything's just kind of strange, is what I will say. Everything is just a little on the strange side. But I did enjoy this episode. Definitely a top one in my opinion, and looking forward to where this show is going to take us further on down the road when it comes to watching all the episodes. But let's jump into some trivia and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. And the scene where David McCallum appears to be playing the first prelude from Bach's Well-Tempered Clavier. The camera pans down from his face to his fingers, and it seems he is actually playing the piano himself. This is highly likely since McCallum, like the rest of his family, were trained musician and went to the Royal Academy of Music and originally intended a career as an oboist. To fill extra time in a specific scene, director James Goldstone added a musical sequence involving the central character, Willem. The significance was not to build new sets or add extra characters, but to be cost-effective. Willem is seen actually playing Bach's preludes on the piano as actor David McCallum practiced the piece prior to the scene hitting the right keys, but the actual music was dubbed over. David McCallum later played Joshua Hayward in Feasibility Study 1997, along with Leonard Nimoy, Cliff Robertson, Barbara Bush, and Peter Beck. He is one of only 5 actors to appear in both The Outer Limits and The Outer Limits 1995. When Willem explains the things that impedes man's development, in the original script he lists morality. For fear of offending viewers, it was changed to immorality. Professor Mather's chimpanzee Darwin was played by stuntman Janos Prohaska. 3 years earlier, Prohaska had also played a chimp named Darwin in Wagon Show 1960. During the brief radiation chamber treatments, some of the sound effects matched tonality used in Forbidden Planet. That's another shout out to Forbidden Planet. Janos Prohaska also appeared as the Thetan in Architects of Fear and as a bacterium amoebae in the final episode of The Outer Limits, the original show, The Probe. He also appeared in the Darwin makeup in an episode of The Lucy Show. At the end, when Willem was in the machine, it was originally intended for Kathy to regress him beyond a caveman so that he would look like an ape. ABC objected, fearing that such a scene would offend certain viewers, so they stopped the regression when he became a caveman. The plot of this episode closely follows that of a 1931 pulp science fiction story, The Man Who Evolved by Edmund Hamilton. Although in the story, the mad scientist evolves himself rather than a test subject, a similar series of developments take place, including a stage when overwhelming megalomania gives way to a further stage of the evolved man feeling he is beyond worry about dominating humanity anymore. The one major difference is that in the original story, there is no hint of there being any way to reverse the process of forced evolution. Well, that's it for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue on watching The Outer Limits with us. And don't forget to comment, and I will go over those comments in next week's episode. Until next time, see you later.